Hey y'all, welcome back. And on this video, I really want to brag on Jesus. It's kind of like a testimony on how I traveled to 11 countries almost for free. So actually, it wasn't like completely free. I probably paid like $700 of my own money for all the countries all together to go to. But in comparison of how much it cost, it was basically free. But please, let me explain before you be like, nah, she knows she lying. So let me take you back to my first ever international experience. Woo! So my first 2 trips, my parents paid for. So that is why that was free. When I was 16 years old, my cousin side of her family were taking a big family vacation, and I decided that I wanted to go too. So my parents paid for me to go on a cruise with my cousin's family to the Bahamas. So that was country number 1. Now, my second trip, I went to Nicaragua, and this is with another cousin, but that cousin, she was on a really cool volleyball team, and they did tournaments internationally. And so you can invite your family members with you to accompany you on the trip, as long as they paid their portion of the trip. I told my parents about it, and they paid for me to go with her to that volleyball trip to Nicaragua. On to my third trip. After that, I started going to 3 countries at a time. So my third trip was with my church. I went to a church and they wanted to take a tour to Israel. And the company that was doing the tours combined Israel with Dubai and with Jordan. So they came to my church and, you know, talked about the tour, and a lot of people at my church really wanted to do it. Now, I heard them, but I was like, listen, I just graduated from college. I do not have a job. I do not have money. I don't think I'll be going on this trip. But y'all go and let me know how it went. I would love to see the pictures. That's basically my state of mind, because I was like, I cannot go on this trip. Like, I just can't go on the trip. I don't have the money. I didn't even entertain the thought of going on a trip because I don't have the money. So, you know, we get closer and closer to the trip, and the team that are going on the trip, you know, they're having meetings on like certain days of the week where they're talking about the trip, rounding up their deposits for it, rounding up their passports and all the documentation to go on this international trip. And meanwhile, I'm just living my life because I'm not going on this trip. I don't really remember the turning point for me going on the trip, but I remember talking to one of my best friends, and she was going on the trip, and she was just saying how she just kind of had to get the faith to go, and that the lady had one more spot open to go on this trip. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. I mean, I do like traveling. I may go. And then I was just like, I kind of want to go. So that was the first point. Like, I wanted to go. After talking to her, I was like, I want to go. But I was still like, I don't have money, so unless somebody sponsor me, I won't be going. One day I was at home, and I kind of said like a quick prayer to God, like, God, I really want to go. Please provide the money for me to go. And it's just simple as that. And then I think later on that day, I had a hair appointment. So I was at the hairdresser. I was underneath the dryer, and I was reading this book on like a worship book or whatever. And one of the parts that he was talking about was the woman with the issue of blood. And she had an issue of blood for 12 years. And she went to all kind of doctors. She couldn't get healed. And when she heard that Jesus was coming to town, that she pressed through the crowd to get healed. Now, even though like she reached through to touch Jesus' robe and she got healed, that really wasn't what blew me away. What blew me away was the fact that it was illegal for women when they were like on their period and to be bleeding to be out in public because they were considered unclean. The fact that she was out in public means that she didn't care what she needed to do. She pressed through, even if she was going to get ridiculed or something bad was going to happen to her from having broken the law going out in public. She didn't care. She continued to press through. And then the second fact is like, it was a whole bunch of people. So I feel like if you're sick, if you have like, you're just like bleeding for 12 years, you probably don't have full strength. So to press through all those people, because I done been through crowds. You mean Black Friday is the beast. Faith is what got her up in the morning to go out there. Faith is what made her push past all of the ridicule that she could have been getting from being out there in public. Faith was what drove her to press through that crowd and touch Jesus. Faith is what allowed her to not even have to touch his body, but anything attached to his body is what she went after. Faith got her that. Faith made her press through and get what she had desired because she had the faith to get it. And so as I'm reading this, I'm sitting underneath the dryer and I'm like, I want to go to Jordan, Israel, and Dubai. I feel like I have the faith. But the second part of the book was talking about the works. She had the faith mentally inside of herself, spiritually, but she accompanied that with the works of getting up, of pressing through, of touching, of, you know, ignoring embarrassment or whatever. She had the faith with the works. And I feel like I'm really big on faith, but a lot of times my work is lacking. I don't really press through. I'd be like, oh Lord, bring it. Where's that, Jesus? I just stay right there in prayer and think that it's supposed to come to me. Kind of like when you're single and you start praying for a man and you don't. Anyways, we're not gonna talk about that. So I realized I needed to put the work in to be able to go on this trip. So immediately I got this Holy Ghost wind in me, and I was like, soon as I leave this hairdresser, I'm finna go and work and get this money so I can go on this trip, because I am going on this trip. I went home. I didn't have a job, so I mean, even if I went and found a job, it'd probably take, it'd take a few weeks to find a job, then a couple weeks to get actually my first paycheck. So I was like, that's out of the question right now. They need a deposit at the end of the week. I need money now. So I started looking all over my house, and I had all this old jewelry that an old boyfriend had gave me. You know how when you break up with somebody, supposed to get rid of the stuff that they gave you. I didn't really get rid of it. I just kind of put it at the bottom of my dresser. So I found all this jewelry, and I'm like, maybe I could sell this jewelry. So I went to a We Buy Gold place, and I had 4 necklaces. It wasn't just jewelry from an ex, but it was also just a lot of old jewelry, because I used to be dicked. I used to be dripping in gold. Rings, bracelets, earrings, necklace, ankle bracelets, you name it. I was dripping. I thought I was a little thug back in the day. But so I went and I sold it, and guess how much money I got? I got $1,500 in gold. Now, like I said, I did have a lot of gold, so don't be like, what? Let me sell this bracelet. No. I was like, oh my goodness, I got half of what I needed. The trip was $3,300 to go on, I think, something, $3,500, $3,600. I got almost half in one day after I got the faith to go. So I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I went home again, and I went and I pawned my old TV and my old VCR. I only got $50 for that. But I was trying. And then I was like, okay, so I'm out of stuff to really sell. I'm not finna sell my computer. I'm not finna sell my car. So what other things can I do? So I started me a GoFundMe, and I had, wrote down a whole description of my heart. I really want to travel to Israel and experience Israel. And then I sent it out to family, posted on Facebook. Some people from my church donated. My family members donated. I know I got at least $500 from the GoFundMe, but it may have been more, maybe $700. I don't know. I got money from that. I got $200 from my grandmother. I got probably maybe $500 from my parents. However it calculated, I ended up having the money to go. Oh, I was $700 short of the $3,600 or whatever, but the company that was doing the tour was so gracious to allow me to go on the trip and pay the money when I got back, literally a week after. But they allowed me to go. So I was like, okay, I think some other people are gonna give me some money during the course of my trip, so I'm just not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna go. So that's the $700 that I had to pay. But it was amazing. The trip was 2 weeks, a week and a half. We went to Jordan first, then we went to Israel, spent a week in Israel, and then we spent a day and a half, 2 days in Dubai. So it was really amazing, and that was a huge testimony to me about having the faith to go. the faith to do stuff, but not just the faith, but the works, which is something I always have to be reminded of, is works. You may be really good at works, but not good at faith. Couple them things together, boy, you is a force to be reckoned with, okay? Woo! So country number 6, 7, and 8 was another 3-country trip. I went to China, I went to Thailand, we went back to China, we went to Hong Kong, which you can kind of consider that different, but technically it's the same. And then I also went to the Philippines. That trip was another faith trip. I don't know why these trips are like so big on me. Every time it requires me going on a trip, it's just like monumental in my life. I break down, I cry, I'm like, God, you don't love me, I don't have money, I can't go. And then like, God provides. So here's another testimony of going on this trip. By this time, I'm no longer living in Florida, I'm living in Los Angeles. And if you haven't seen my faith journey videos on how I packed up my car with $500 and traveled across country by myself in my little Honda Civic to Los Angeles, California, I will have those videos in the description box. But that was another faith journey. That was a big faith trip too, but we're talking about internationally. By then, I'm living in Los Angeles, expensive behind Los Angeles, and I don't have money. I have a job, but I don't have, you know, another $3,000, $3,300, whatever, to go on this trip. Now, this is a missions trip. This trip was not for leisure, like unlike the other trips. This trip, we were going for human trafficking with my church to really fight human trafficking, to really reach out to a lot of the girls in Thailand that are being trafficked out there. That one really meant a lot to me because my heart was really in it, because I really do care deeply about human trafficking. Justice is really big for me. So I really wanted to go, but I didn't have the money. This time I had the faith and I was like, I'm gonna do the work. So I did the work early. I went, I knocked on doors, put up flyers. I did another like GoFundMe. I really didn't get no money that time. Like, it felt like everything I tried, it wasn't working. Let's see, our church did a fundraiser for the people trying to go, because it was a bunch of us trying to go who didn't have the money, and nothing was working. And it was, let's say, we had to have the money in by Monday, and this was Sunday, and I literally probably only had like $400. Yeah, I had to have $3,300, and the day before the money was due, I had $400. Now, I couldn't go on the trip if I did not have the money. That night, I broke down. I was depressed. I was like, Lord, I have just been rejected, because so many people I was like asking for money from, they was like ignoring me, like not trying to hear it. And I get it. A lot of people are not trying to, like, you know, you don't have to give your money to someone. You don't have to. That's just, you know, a kindness thing, or just something that you feel led to do. You don't have to. And I'm glad that they didn't, because I wouldn't have experienced what I experienced had they gave me money. But I was just feeling rejected. I was like, people don't love me. You know, I was like, I was going knocking on doors and people was like slamming doors in my face, and I would like break down. I just was feeling so horrible on this trip. Like, it was nothing like the last one. The last one came easy. Bam, 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 bam. I got the money. So, like I said, that night I was breaking down crying. I was depressed. I was emotional. I was weeping. I was just over it. I was like, Lord, I just want to move to another country and live and just go over all of this. Like, I'm very dramatic. I was like that hurt, that depressed. Like, I just really felt rejected and really sad. Like, I put my faith in this. Like, I know I'm supposed to go. Like, people have given me words that I'm supposed to go on this trip, and I don't have the money. It is the night before. I mustered up the strength to go to church the next day. And then I go and I sit on the front row all the way in the corner. Don't know why, but it was like the only seat open. And I'm just like crying the whole service. And this service, they actually called up the people who were gonna go on the trip with us and pray for us before we go, because, you know, that's some deep stuff to be, you know, trying to go against. So they called us up and pray for us. And all the time while they up there praying, like, I'm just like crying and Probably people thought I was crying because, you know, this is a big thing, but I was crying because I felt so rejected by man, and I felt rejected by God that I had not got this money. It was like, it's way deeper than kind of how I'm explaining it, but I was just so sad, and I was just crying so hard. I remember one of my friends came up from the back. She wasn't even part of the team that was praying for us. She just came up and just like held my hand because I was like on the ground. I was like crying, and to the outside eye, you don't know what I'm crying about, but I was weeping because I didn't have the money. Everybody else on my team had the money, and I was the only one there looking stupid, having so much faith, telling everybody I'm going. It was just a lot, and I just broke down. And then so after the prayer was over, they kind of spent a little extra time praying on me because I was just looking very sad. I was just looking pathetic. So I went and sat back down, you know, heard the whole sermon. We finished worship, all that stuff, you know, dismissed us, and I'm just still sitting there. Everybody's getting up, talking to everybody, and I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to sit over in my corner, wait till everybody leave, and then go about my merry business and just like sob. As I'm sitting there, my friend behind me taps me. He was like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like crying. I'm like, "I'm so sad because I can't go to Thailand." Like, this is how I'm sounding the whole service. This is how I've been. And then he was like, "Oh no, oh my goodness, how much do you need?" Because nobody knew. And I was like, I need $2,500. And he was like, "Oh my goodness." He was like, he thought about it real quick. He was like, "I can give you $1,000. I was like, "It doesn't matter because I need $2,500, so $1,000 is not gonna help anything." And he was like, okay, don't cry. Okay. And he thought about it. He was like, okay, I'll give it to you, all of it. And then I kind of like sobered up. I was like, "You sure?" And he was like, yeah, just stop crying. He's really the kindest person ever. He is amazing. I love him. So he's like, yeah. So how do I get them the money? I was like, you go to this website and you put my name and then you put your credit card information and you give it. And he was like, okay. But he had like this old phone. Like, he doesn't spend money on himself, but he has such a giving heart. And his phone was like so old that it just wasn't really working, and it wasn't getting on the internet. And then he was like, "Oh my goodness, it's not working." And I don't know what was wrong with my phone. Oh, I had broke my phone. So at that time, I didn't have a phone because I didn't have money to get another phone. So I was like, "It's a computer in the back." And so me and him went to the back, and then I think I had to ask my pastor's wife, who ran the human trafficking organization, Justice Speaks. I had to ask her like the exact like website or like, you know, some information. And she was like, what's happening? And I was like, "He's paying for everything." And then she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then me and her like jumping up and down, hugging, and like we hugging him. And then like people walk over and they was like, "What?" And they're like, "He's gonna pay for her." And then so everybody just like jumping up and down, and we just like, I'm like laughing and crying now. And I was amazed at what God had did, because I really in my heart was kind of like, "God, this is the last time." Like, LA took a lot out of me to even move there in the first place. I feel like I had got my hopes up so much, and you know, I had lived in my car for a while. I had just a lot of stuff was disappointing, and it was like back to back to back, and I just was like, I can't take one more. I just can't take one more hit. And not being able to go on this trip after I had like so much faith, like I couldn't take it. And for him to come through the day before the money was due, I did not have the money one day, less than 24 hours before I needed it. It was funny because I was talking to one of my friends later, and she was like, "Yeah, I had a dream or like a vision of this like guy matching his description, like giving you this money." And then she told me that after, and I'm like, "What?" Like, God had this plan all the way before I had even known, before I was like having like my temper tantrum and my sobbing fest and like breaking down. Like God knew that I was going to get this money this way, and I'm so glad that the other people that I reached out to didn't give me money, because I wouldn't have been able to experience that and have faith all the way up to that last second to even go on this trip. And the funny thing is that I even got more than enough money, because I still needed money to like shop, you know, there. Like we're gonna go to Hong Kong, and that was like not a part of the mission trip. That was gonna be like free fun time. So I wanted like money to go shopping, and then on that part of the trip we actually had to pay for our food. So I didn't have money for food, for shopping, for just like other things that I wanted to participate in, travel, you know, transportation in Hong Kong. So after that happened, like I was like hit with bam, 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 like all kind of people just started like giving me like $100 here, $200 there, and I had like more than enough money that I was able to listen. Let me brag on Jesus. Not only did I have the $3,300 to go on the trip, I had my $600 rent, you know, during that time that I was going to be gone. I also had like $500 of spending money. I still had money in my bank account when I got back. How much is that? I don't know, I'm bad with math, but like almost $5,000, and all I needed was $3,300. God did like above and beyond what I had asked for, and it didn't come through to the last second, guys. Like the last second. If you have something that you really praying for and hoping for, have faith even to the last second, because it was hard. And I don't really feel like in my heart I behaved the way I wanted to. I wish I had came to church happy, but my story would have probably been different if I was like not crying, because he wouldn't have known that something was wrong, because I probably wouldn't have mentioned that to him. So man, let God work it out. Let him work it out. And even if it doesn't come, because I had things where I hoped something would come and it didn't, like it still was much better the way that it panned out to be than what I felt like I had to have. Woo! Country 9, 10, and 11 happened a whole different way. So I'm minding my business. I'm living in LA, and my friend who babysits a lot, she had got a client, and the lady wanted her to work like every day of the week. And my friend, you know, she was already a full-time babysitter, and she already had her like massage therapy business going on, and she was doing a lot of things, so she couldn't, you know, be there for those hours every day of the week. So she asked us, her roommates, to kind of like split days up and help out with babysitting. I had never babysitted before besides like my family. Honestly, I thought I was bad with kids, so I didn't know how this thing was gonna go. But she asked me to you know, fill in and take a couple days a week for the next, you know, few weeks to help her out. So I was like, okay, well, it's extra money. I needed extra money. The pay was nice. I went one day to babysit. I went to nanny for one day, and she loved me. The family loved me, and she gave me a call back probably like the next week or so, and she asked me if I was open to traveling internationally to be a nanny with the kids. And I was like, me? Like, you only see me one time and you want me to travel, you know, with you internationally? And at first I was excited. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so great, because I love to travel. I love, you know, going places. And she would basically pay for everything. She would pay for my trip. She would pay for my food, pay for travel, pay for, you know, living, because I would live with them, and also pay me to be there. And it was basically like a win, 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 win on every hand. It was win. And the only loss was like, I was like, I don't want to leave LA, because I would be gone for like, it was kind of expected to be gone for like 2 months, I think. I can't really remember, but I was like, I don't want to be gone for 2 months. Like, what if I miss something? Like, LA is always stuff happening. You never know. Somebody like call you one day and be like, hey, you want to come to the studio real quick and do a song? Like, I didn't want to be gone and be like, no, I'm in Puerto Rico. I can't go with you. I was really having second thoughts. I almost didn't go, and I think a couple of my friends kind of talked me into it. I'm so glad I went now. I probably would have never moved to Charlotte if I didn't go, but I said yes after, you know, a couple weeks or whatever. that trip was amazing. What we did was with her, we went to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was maybe 2 weeks, and then I flew home it was like a break in between before their next trip, so I decided just to fly home to Florida for free and spend some time with them instead of flying back to LA. And then from there, I flew from Florida to Belize. We went to Costa Rica and Guatemala. I only count that as 3 because Puerto Rico is technically a part of United States, but not. It's kind of like the same thing with Hong Kong. I'm gonna say 3 countries just to be correct before somebody come for me in these comments. So I went to 3 countries with her, all for free, and I got paid for that. That was a great experience. Never was a nanny before, never was a traveling nanny before, but that door opened for me. That is everything in a nutshell. I could go into more detail, but I don't want this video to be too long and it'd be like an hour. We just not gonna do that. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about my trip, please let me know. I gave the account as accurately as I can remember. I'm leaving some stuff out, so if my numbers are off, I'm not good with math, please forgive me. But basically, I traveled all those countries and I only had to pay $700 for one of those trips. Everything else was free. I don't know about my next trip. I want to go this year to Japan. I want to go to Sri Lanka. I want to go to Bali this year. So let's see if I do it, because the last 3 years I've been going to 3 countries a year, so I'm trying to keep up that pace. But I really want to work on my music this year and invest all my money and time into music. So I don't know how much travel I'm gonna do, because I'm probably gonna have to pay for this trip. I don't know how many times God gonna give me free trips. I hope forever, the rest of my life. But I'm pretty set on paying for my trips in the future. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I encourage you to press through and have faith for whatever you're believing. If you're believing to travel, you know, pray it and work towards it. Other things that you're praying for, just have faith and accompany that faith with works. Learn from me and put your faith with your works and see it get done. I will see y'all later. Please make sure that you subscribe and give it a thumbs up. I love y'all. Bye.